Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the Beer Money Pulling Team Power Ranking Show. Tonight, it is Super Farm, joined as always by the Schultes there in the top left of your screen, Shane Hunt above me, and our guest tonight, Jeremy Roberts, Wicked Whitetail Super Farm, to be our expert guest on the subject matter this evening. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Pretty good. How are you guys?
Living the dream. I think I can say, and this one's easier for me than it is for the two of you guys because I'm not an active participant in this class. You guys are, all three of you are. So it's a little bit more touchy to talk about this one tonight. But I will say, looking at the metrics that I look at, this is the third week in a row that I've now had to come on the show and say this is the hardest one because everything is tighter, and it's true.
Absolutely. Bias was really hard to leave out of it, but I did the best I could with it, and hopefully it makes the most sense of all these tractors. There's so many great ones out there, and there's so many guys I see run on a week in and week out basis that a lot of people don't get to see. Same thing for Wyatt, but it was really hard to narrow these guys down this week.
Yeah, it's a lot of same here. Guys that run regional side of it that make a great impact on the national side when up here, whether it's Toma, Rockwell, or wherever else the Grand National guys cross over. It's hard, especially from a competitor standpoint.
I'll be curious to see because as families, you guys and competitors, you guys can pull against a lot of these guys. So maybe you stand a little too close to the fire. I wonder if my perspective being outside it just a bit is going to make a difference when we start getting into our picks and in terms of what we see. And I certainly don't claim any sort of professional knowledge or accuracy with this one particularly because I'm not involved with it directly. But it's just kind of what I look at as an outsider looking in on it.
Right. And yours is absolutely zero bias, and for us is trying to absolutely eliminate that bias, whatever it may be.
I mean, the main bias for me is my home area. That's the hardest bias to get rid of for this ranking, but we'll see.
That's me too.
That's the same here. I mean, I run the Champions Tour with Lucas Oil, so I see those guys every night and don't run the NTPA or Mid-South, Badger State, some of these organizations. But I know the tractors and, so it's hard to kind of, not just look at the Champions Tour.
No, you'd like to come play down in Mid-South every once in a while.
I enjoy it.
Just to give you guys a sense of who are watching tonight, some of what I'm talking about with how tight everything is and how close it all is together. One of the things I always look at in terms of this being a power ranking is I look at what I call a quality win. Did you beat a guy did the winner beat second place by 5 feet or more? Did they beat him by 10 feet or more? And that number of times that occurrence took place really started to diminish with the two truck classes we just profiled. Tonight, you're not going to believe this. Champions Tour out of 16 starts, there was one win by 10 feet or more, and there were 5 guys who did it by 5 or more. Before I talk about NTPA Grand National, NTPA's Region 3 and Region 2, there were 2 wins between both tours of 10 feet or more, none by 5 feet or more. And out of the 10 starts NTPA Grand National, every single finish was 5 feet or closer. There's not another division we've looked at that is as tight as this one is.
No.
And even when the Grand National guys go across in the regional side of it, that's really close too. When we were up in, for example, when we were up in Toma this year, second, third, and fourth were all separated by the width of a quarter.
Yeah.
I mean, back in the day, it always was where you were on the regional part of the tour, and you were like, okay, let's go to Toma or let's go to Hillsborough or something, and let's go play with the big boys. It's not that way anymore. It's always within that amount of distance.
Now, there was a point in time where this is going back a few years now, but there was a point in time where I would have said, actually, when it came to Super Farm, toughest championship to win was NTPA Region 2. It wasn't the Grand National. You were going to go up against the best of the best on that circuit.
I agree with that. A few
No.
years back, that was a tough region.
Yeah.
Daniel, yes, true. Region 4 is also very tough. That right click in there.
We made some trips out to North Carolina back in our Super Farm days. Maybe come back out there again soon with mine. We'll see.
All right. Well, should we start off at least with the honorable mentions that we came up with?
I guess so.
It's a lengthy list. I couldn't put everybody in there that I wanted to.
I know.
I held myself to 6.
I had 5.
I've got 6.
And granted, some of these on our mentions, they were right there at the top 10 list, but it's just you can't find a place from them.
Yeah, I agree.
So let's start.
I'll go first since that's kind of how I got the spreadsheet set up when we get into the actual top 10. For my honorable mentions, I did include Steve Yagi, Holy Smokes, Region 3 champ. Kevin McNault, the Green Energy John Deere, Region 2 champ. John Silsby's Crop Doctor, Screaming Norwegian with a couple of wins out on the Champions Tour. The team of Michael Pitch and Tony Seitzma, Wolverine Deer, and Michael Snepp and Keith Hannenberg, the 44 John Deere.
I've got quite a few on those, on mine too. Like you said, Steve Yagi, Holy Smokes, Region 3 champion. The Wolverine Deer, Tony Seitzma. I had Shane Masson with Thumpin' Pumpkin at one of them. Son of a Hitch, Jelly from Wisconsin. He had a bunch of Badger State wins, but Rage at the very end of the season held him out of contention for the Badger State Championship. And then our guest tonight, actually, Jeremy with Wicked Whitetail.
Yeah. On my honorable mentions, Jeremy, I've got you there right there at number 11, Bubba, for this year. Shout out to my hometown crew. Thunderstruck had 13 wins on the Mid-South Tour, but he did not go run a Champions Tour hook that I could find, and I searched every Champions Tour hook I could. So I'm curious to know what he would do against some of those guys. So I hope he ventures out to do that. My Red Weiser guys out of Paris, Kentucky, they ran majority of the Champions Tour hooks this year, I think, didn't they, Jeremy?
They were a little more than half or so.
Yeah. Whenever they run with us on Mid-South, they're always consistently top 3. I could not get around them in the first part of the year to save my life. And then Deer Tracks, he ran the full circuit but won multiple times back home on Mid-South. Mr. Lee Butts and Press On didn't have a Grand National win, but was very strong in the Region 2. His grandson started to drive, I believe, if I understand that right. And then Hammer and Hank also had a win on the Grand National Tour. But you put all of those names that every one of us mentioned in there, that's a whole list in itself of guys who could win at any given time, any given hook.
It's so spread out. It's what's crazy about our class.
I think tonight's going to be the night where we're probably the most diverse in what our top 10 is. We've, as always, every week we don't talk beforehand about who we're putting where, and we've wound up in a lot of the same places this week. I don't think we're gonna. I really don't.
No.
We said that last week and we repeated like 4 times, so we'll see.
Yeah, this week I really feel like the change is going to come, and you know what? It's all good. It's just gonna it's have some fun, spur some conversation, talk a little trash, maybe. That's all good too. So feel free to jump in the comments, tell us how wrong we are. And
please do.
Champion your guy. That's fine. We're good with it.
This is going to be a lot of fun. Let's get started.
All right, let me get this screen hauled in here.
Before we do that, Jeremy, give us your background and how you got started in this Madness of Super Farm.
Well, I started out antique tractor pulling, and I did really well in that and had an opportunity to sell that tractor, moved up to a farm stock. Then in 2007, we teamed up with Arlen Smits, and he built our hot farm. And we ran that 3 years. We won 4 championships with it, and actually sold that tractor to a guy in Australia. And we built a super farm, came out in 2012. and we've been with it for 10 years now. I was trying to add up in my head. I think somewhere around 28, 29 wins is what we've collected over the 10-year span.
So was it Wolverine Deer 2 or 3 that wound up in Australia? Did that go through you then before it went out there?
Yes, my Wicked Whitetail Hot Farm went there, and then Brendan wanted to buy a tractor for his brother for his birthday, and Arlen and Bob and Harley were ready to call it a career.
Yeah.
So we actually took the Wolverine Deer 2 motor and put it in my new chassis, and Arlen built a 505 Hot Farm motor to send to Australia.
Gotcha.
So in 2012 and 13, I was running the Wolverine Deer 2 Super Farm motor.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So
When did you run an Antiques?
I had an old John Deere G 2-cylinder.
Nice.
Yeah.
How big was it?
1,200 cubes or so. It was big as you could get. It was, yeah,
I've been on an 800 cubic incher, and that's a ride.
yeah. We could run the 5,000 pound class in sixth gear easy. I mean,
Yeah.
Guy in Missouri, Alan Schooler, built that, and he can make them run.
Nice.
So the first Wolverine Deer is Seatsma still. Number 2 went to Australia, and number 3 is actually Parkinson's Command Deer.
Yes.
Yes, correct.
I didn't realize you ran Hot Farm. I didn't realize you jumped up to Super Farm in 2012. I thought you'd always been a Super Farm guy.
No, we had a 7810. Looks like Don Salamas. We always idolized Don when we was pulling antiques, and at that time frame, Don was the man to beat. And he had the 7810 sheet metal, and that's what Arlen built us to look like the Wolverine Deer 2 and Fast and Furious. And we won 2 Lucas Oil Midwest Region championships, and we won 2 championships in Illinois. And we ran 2 circuits actually those 2 years, and then really had no intention of selling the tractor. Just kind of wanted to upgrade that to a super farm, and had an opportunity to sell it. And I really liked Boyd's had just come out with the Green Streak X at that time, the 8345R. And living 40 minutes from Boyd's, I would see them every night. That was just a beautiful tractor. And I went over and talked to Steve and them at their place. And then me and Steve and Arlen drove down and talked to Tim Engler, and Engler built the chassis on my tractor. We took it to Wildman's, and they did the 10 work. And so it's as close as we could get to one of Boyd's tractors, with playing with the ag chassis.
I didn't realize you were that far south. You were that close to Boyd's where they are.
Yeah, about 40 minutes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good,
And early on,
resource, and I see one of them Mike is gonna drive one of the pros again at Farm Show.
Yeah. I'm excited for that.
And way back early on, we used to go down to and we would dyno down there at Boyd's.
Really?
Yeah.
Back in there, they had their test track and everything?
We just ran on their dyno.
Okay. I didn't know they had an actual
14. Yeah.
I got you.
If anybody's looking for a modified, they still have 2 of them for sale.
Yeah.
Just saying.
The minis are gone, but the mods are there.
Yeah. One of the mod chassis is gone. The other 2 are not.
Really?
Kane bought the new one that no one's ever seen.
Well,
Anyway, back to Super Farm.
that's a complete opposite end of the spectrum. Go from 4 to this.
Yeah.
It's all good. We ready to do this?
Absolutely.
All right. So bring that in. There it is. I'll start off. I'll go first. A couple of you guys mentioned my number 10 in your honorable mentions, and I felt partially compelled to throw this thing in there because I wanted something that wasn't red or green. I put the Thumpin' Pumpkin in there. Had a couple reasons for doing so. He's one of the few guys who crossed over between Champions Tour and ran some NTPA. Didn't run Grand National, did run some Region 2 in state. Took 1 win on the Champions Tour and then did haul out a win in a Region 2 event as well. And if I remember right, going back to last winter indoor at Shipshewana, he was very competitive, if not a winner, also at Ship in some of those combo classes where you had to run against a lot of guys. So I kind of respect that, taking it off brand and being competitive with it.
Yeah, definitely for an AGCO tractor, he's one of the toughest, if not the toughest AGCO out there.
Yeah, I would say. Yep.
My number 10, I went with Dave Whalen in My Last Excuse tractor. He'd 1 Grand National win, 5 top 5s, a couple regional wins. Dave is just one of those older guys in the class that got a lot of knowledge. Our class is a lot of mental messing with each other, but it's always a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Dave's an OG. He came out of the pro stock ranks, and when Super Farm came along, he was one of those guys who decided I don't want to keep up on the pro stock side. Let's go Super Farm, and he's really turned it on to something.
Yeah. My number 10 is going to Michigan as well. It's going to be absolutely nuts of the Ferris family. They had 2 wins, but he was your Bowling Green ring winner. And I was able to see the pass that he laid down at Bowling Green for the win. It was an absolutely awesome run.
Definitely the Michigan boys are not afraid to try something.
No, none of them.
There's a lot of them. There's a lot of Michigan guys.
Geezy says he was honored to have the whitetail in his trailer at one time.
Yeah. Yep.
Where was that at?
James hauled that back from Wildman's up to Arlen's back in 2000, probably winter of January or so of 2012.
And we got quite a comment in here from Ben. Did you run a 4430 deer and ITPA 9500 farm stock back around 05 or so?
Yes, I ran that back in 04 and 05. Yep.
And here's the Captain Obvious question. Do you make money back that you paid for the tractor? Nope.
No.
It's just like fishing, golfing, or anything. If you're a big fisherman, you got to have a nice boat and a lot of equipment. It's the same thing. But enjoyment's priceless. I work 12-hour shifts and work a lot, and this is my enjoyment. And my 2 boys and fiance, they all love to go, and they're ready to go whenever I am.
Like it. All right, let's jump up to number 9. This one may be some geography bias going on here, but I will justify why I said so. I put Lee Butts and his grandson Aiden Preston at number 9. Grand National Tour, they did not do super well. They bought a Grand National license. So that was their intention to run, and they hit all the hooks. But the performance wasn't there. They also ran all 12 Region 2 events as well. There, they won 5 out of 12 starts, and in 3 or 4 of those, they had to beat 5 or 6 other Grand National guys to garner those 5 wins. They also picked up 2 more on the NTPA Wolverine State Circuit and 2 more on top of that out of the Thumb Tractor Pulling Association. So when they're right, they're right. They just weren't always right.
Definitely. Lee's definitely a class act. Definitely a fun guy to be around. My number 9, that's where I had the Ferris family, the Absolute Nuts tractor, being one of the OGs in the class. And it's always tough. Like you said, BG ring winner, 2 Grand National wins on the season. Just a tough family.
Yep. My number 9 is coming out of the Champions Tour. It's going to be running Buck Wild. He had 2 Grand National, but 2 Champions Tour wins on the year.
Like it, the Schwenk family.
Yeah, they like to come play down here with us some too. I think they came down to Mid-South, I think twice this summer, and did really well down here as well.
That's always fun when you get to see the mixes between, state associations, or when you get a little bit of crossover stuff like Mid-South, or even up here with Badger State or ECI, you get to see a little bit of crossover.
That's the thing between Super Farm and Limited Pro down here. We'll have a lot of guys from Indiana jump down and run with us, or some of our guys will go up there and run with them. I know we had one Limited Pro run Region 2 this year, and he ended up winning it. But, yeah, the crossover's there for sure.
We'll go up to number 8. At number 8, it's a guy that you guys have actually already identified. I put the Ferris family and Absolutely Nuts in here for my list. It's a bit surprising to me. The Ferris family, they run 2 tractors, and Absolutely Nuts, the last year or 2, has done better for them. But if you know the history of what Completely Nuts is, that is the old Salem Bean, Never Satisfied. And then it went to, I forget his name, the guy, the farmer in Southwest Michigan got in trouble.
Stamp.
Stamp. And then they wound up with it. That's the tractor with the better stories to tell if you could hear pipe talk. But Absolutely Nuts has been a performer within the stable.
Yeah, whenever all that actually happened, Ryan drove it one other time before they sold it to the Ferris family, and I think he ended up getting a top 5 with after being out of the seat for like 3 years. My brother was hooking his tractor, I think, at that same hook too.
Yeah, definitely a tractor that's made its way around the class, but it's always been a staple in the class, no matter who has the keys to it. My number 8 is the one that was already been said. Running Buck Wild Tractor, 2 Champions Tour wins. He had 1 by 15 plus feet in Goshen, Indiana, and then he had 8 top 5s on the Champions Tour. Likes to cross over. Always a really solid tractor wherever he goes. And that little bit of mix between red and green.
Yeah. Going to my number 8. I'm going to Badger State for this one. I'm going to go with All Cranked Up. He had 8 wins on the Badger State circuit this summer. And was your Badger State points champion on top of that.
Like it. I did. That was one I did not go and seek out. That's a good one.
He run the Champions Tour for years. Him and his brother, they're very competitive tractors.
Yes, absolutely.
His brother stayed on the tour this year, and Jason decided with little kids and things, he was going to stay there, and run Badger State at home.
Yeah. Chris Whitinger chiming in. Absolutely Nuts is Salem Bean's old tractor. Assorted Nuts used to be Henry Smith's. That's right.
Actually, okay. Yeah, you're right, Chris. Yeah. My mistake. You're right on that one.
Still cool. That's a case motor, and it looks like an IH, but it's a case.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
I'll be glad to see that tractor out next year, I hope.
Yeah, I missed that tractor being out this year. It's not normal to see them with only one tractor.
No. They were waiting on parts all summer long from what I got told.
Yeah, in Farm Show they had rear end trouble.
Yeah.
Up to number 7. Call it geography bias if you like, and maybe even some recent history bias. But I put Dave Whalen, My Last Excuse, in here. 2022, maybe not the season he was hoping for, but I feel like he's the guy who, if he comes off the trailer, you got to go around. He's one of the ones you got to go around to get it done.
Definitely. My number 7, I went with a different Michigan tractor. I went with Brad Hart in the Don't Ask tractor. 1 Grand National win, couple regional wins, 5 top 5s. Running on the Grand National circuit this year, he was always known for trying a lot of different stuff. It showed it in a couple finishes, whether he was on top or whether it just didn't work out for him. Known for just trying something different.
And that tractor makes torque.
Yeah, it does. Still does. So, Charles, you know how you said we weren't going to stack on top of each other? We did it for number 7. He had 1 Grand National win and 5 top 5 finishes on the NTPA tour.
You know what? I can already tell, like the way that the bottom half of the top 10 is shaping up. I think we're going to be closer than we realize when we're all done with this. And I don't know how this keeps happening.
No, I think the number one's going to be completely different.
Yeah, I think all of our numbered 1s and 2s are going to be crossed up. I really do.
You're probably right, but we'll find out. We will find out.
But it's always weird how no matter who we say is where, you can't take any of them lightly because any day one of them is going to get a win no matter where it is.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So number 6, that's where I put Running Buck Wild. For that one, for me, it boils down to the 2 wins on the year, multiple wins in Super Farm at the top level was Champions Tour Grand National. Few and far between. He was the only guy on Champions Tour to garner a win by more than 10 feet. And one of his 2 wins came at Shy Diesel Extravaganza where just about everybody's there. So you got to go around everyone to make it happen.
That's definitely the hard ones, though, when you have way more than in the past because you used to run, like on the Champions Tour Grand National Circuit, you're used to running against the same 10, 11 guys all the time, but then you jump another 10 or 11 in there. Then you're really thinking.
Well, yeah, the Champions Tour averaged 18 tractors every night this year and had 42 different tractors hook with it for the year. So when we went to Benson, we picked up some North Carolina tractors. We go to Goshen, you get some Michigan guys. We go over to Freeport, we get some Badger State guys, and then we had some Mid-South guys. Brad did come up and run with us at Tampico 2 times. Yeah. But we picked up, quite a few different guys from different areas.
So listen to this guy. You want to be the subject matter expert on the Power Ranking show in weeks coming forward? This guy did his homework. He's got numbers. He's spitting facts. I love it. Thank you, Jeremy, for doing your homework. Bring it, dude.
Thank you.
Power Ranking is all about numbers. My number 6, I went a little bit different. It's kind of crazy. People are going to find me a little crazy although I have him. But I've got Don Slum on the Fast and Furious tractor. 3 wins, 10 top 5. Little bit of early luck with the sweep in Benson. A little bit of recency bias. Didn't have great finish to the season, but when you think of Super Farms and Champions Tour, it's always Don Slama. He's always up there.
Wow. Big Rye is watching. He said, didn't realize you guys had that high of an average. Guessing Hillsboro helped the average too.
Yeah, we wasn't even at Hillsboro this year.
Super Farm didn't run Hillsboro.
No. The thing about Don was on a heck of a year, and then he burned a piston up there at Goshen, and they drove all night, went back, got parts, put a different head on, rebuilt the motor. In my opinion, the tractor just didn't run the same as what it did early on. But at least he was able to get it rebuilt, make the hook, and finish. Have a good year.
Like you said, there's something about these tractors. If they're on a roll, the best thing to do sometimes is not take it apart because usually it's settled in so well that it doesn't want to be taken apart.
Can I just go what WTF for a second?
Yeah. I saw that too.
Yeah.
If we're in Hawaii, that's awesome.
If y'all are watching Honolulu Spartan, thank God you're watching, but we haven't done.
Wrong show.
Either way, thank you guys for watching, though. That's awesome. If that's really where that is.
That's a new time zone.
Yeah. That's really cool, though.
Yeah. Get off your coffee break. Go patrol the streets.
Charles, can we come back to this comment at the end? And you can kind of tell that. Probably better than you.
I'm probably the wrong guy. Well, yeah, we can talk about it. Jeremy probably tells a good or better story than I. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. Yep.
And then one more. I think there was 24 in Freeport. That would not surprise me in the slightest.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
Jason Benny wound up coming in there and taking the win that night.
Yeah. All right, number 6. That's where I've got Don't Ask. He had 1 Grand National win, 3 second-place finishes, and that tractor does hold a little bit of a special place in my heart still to this day. That's the tractor my brother drove whenever I was a little kid, watching him get started into pulling. So, and Mr. Hart's continued to do well with it ever since he bought it. So, that's where he ends up for me.
A little bit of sympathy there.
Here we go, top side of the top 10. This is where things get perhaps a little naughty. We'll see what happens.
I
Trends
guess
being what they are.
I guess it's real.
I
That's
mean,
awesome.
that's awesome. Thank you for paying attention. I do appreciate it.
I guess they went pulling in Hawaii now.
Well, they used to have it once upon a time.
Yeah,
They went out there.
that's awesome.
Number 5. Let's. I'm going to go fast and furious here. Yes, the 2 wins were early in the season, but Don's one of those, I think, foundational characters within the class that when it's his time, it's his time, and he's not going to be denied. And he's another one where when everybody pulls in and the ramps come down, you know you're going through him.
Absolutely. Number 5, I went with the Badger State champ. I went with Jason Vinny, the all cranked up tractor. 1 Champions Tour win in Freeport, but 8 Badger State wins. And when it comes to Badger State, a lot of the Champions Tour guys that run the circuit are also running there too. So 8 wins against those guys. It's definitely a quality tractor and runs really hard.
I agree. Breaking into my top 5, I'm going back to PPL as well, and I'm going with Mr. Barman and Hooked Up. He had 3 PPL wins and finished 3rd in PPL points. 3 wins on the Champions Tour, you're doing something.
Yeah, that was the most of anybody this year. At the last event there at Wheatland, he took the lead with the next to last hook, and I tried to get him, and when we come up a little short, we got a second. But he's for only, I think, I can't remember, this might have been his first full year on the tour. He hit probably half or so, I think, last year, and it came on this year, and it's all them Wisconsin guys are that Badger State. They mean business up there. You know, any of them guys can come down and jump on the tour, and they're very competitive.
Definitely true. They cross over a lot.
Yeah.
I think from here on in, we talked about in our pre-show prep that we do that we could do I made the comment, I could do this list every day for 30 days and come up with a different list every single day. And going forward in terms of the top 4 for me, this is what it feels like today. Carl, maybe I have a different feel about it. But for number 4 for me, this is where I'm going to land Josh Miley. Only 1 win on the year, consistent enough to win the championship, and it's a great tractor. But again, we're looking at a power ranking. I want to see that killer instinct. I want to see the wins, and 1 doesn't do it. Doesn't do it.
Wow.
But like you said before, when it drops out of the trailer, Jeremy, you know this. It's one of those you have to get around.
100%.
Yeah.
That's why he's up as high as he is. But there's a lot of guys who also had 1 win on the year across Champions Tour and Grand National that I could have named. But I've got him at number 4. I don't have anybody else who's a 1 winner that's that high.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Some,
that's a little shocking.
some tractors are one-hit wonders with a win, but some are just winning and the consistency on top.
Well, you've got to look. Josh is a 3-time in a row champion. I mean, this guy is Mr. Consistency. He can read a track. He knows how to set his tractor up. I mean, if you've got the lead and you know Josh is back there, I mean, you're sweating bullets till he makes his run. I mean,
You're not wrong.
10 years against him, you know, he's one of the toughest that we deal with every night.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's a power ranking, not a popularity contest, not a points race. I got to see that. I got to see that go for the jugular, and one win doesn't get it for me.
That's where we have a hard time, because I try, you know, we might move out of the groove and go for the win, and then next, you know, you wind up that night you're 17 out of 22, you know. Instead of trying to run real consistent, you know, there's times that we gamble and we want to pick up the W's, and it's hard to win a championship when you're a gambler like that.
Sure is. Yeah. Sure is. I don't disagree with anything what you just said. I get it.
Hey, Wyatt, real quick before you do yours. That's not a bad idea. I kind of like it for all the classes that are happening at Farm Show.
Now that we know who they are, actually, I don't have a problem if we want to transition the focus of this program, because we're getting close to the end of like Grand National / Champions Tour classes to run through. If we want to transition this and start getting after, you know, Farm Show and try to tee that up, I'm good with it.
I think I made the comment in our group chat about like say pass ranking shows. The folder most of the top 10, we were actually not that far off from who got in the Louisville. And it's kind of crazy how close the committee can get to, you know, us, or how close we can get to the committee.
Now stay off pulloff.com, because then they'll think we're idiots too.
Maybe we are, maybe we aren't. Who knows?
Big Rye.
We'll just do our own power rankings then, because a couple of us haven't got a shot at that yet.
I mean, it's been
actually, Pro Stock, that was, I think, what, the very first program. It was me and me, because Jason wussed out and didn't do a list. He hung me out to dry, let me sound like a moron. Yeah, we could do Pro Stock. Yes, we can absolutely do that. I don't care if it takes 3 hours to get through it.
Anyway, let's get to this program. My number 4, I went with Brian Barman, hooked up tractor. He had a Badger State win, but he also had 3 Champions Tour wins. The win in Wheatland to end the year off. Barman's always tough, always up in there. Never take him lightly.
So this is going to be the one where I probably catch a little bit of flack. I went with checking out for number 4. He had 2 NTPA wins, but recency bias kind of played a role. The session at Bowling Green and then the first session at Sandwich, but then he came back and won the second session. He had it, and then just bad luck got him. But I will tell you this, when it comes to Ship Shawana in January and Farm Machinery Show, he's right there on the top of my picks to win those.
Definitely tough. Anderson's one of those top guys. Just you can't take him lightly. I mean, past Grand National champion, just missed the title this year. Yeah.
All right, top 3 time. I've already jumped out the Champions Tour champ. I guess I got to put the GN champ in there. New attitude.
Wow.
I'll be right back.
And he did well. One of his wins coming at Bowling Green, he was a champ. 2 wins on this tour. No one else did more than 2 wins. There are 3 guys with 2 wins on the season. So out of GN, got to put him here. Based on what I see, champion, great tractor, certainly competitive. But I feel like there's two other guys with a little more killer instinct that I'm looking for in a power ranking.
The crazy thing about him is that, like, 5 years ago, besides his local guys, no one even heard of this guy. And to even make that big of improvement within those 5 years, because for some guys it might come quicker, some guys it might take them 10, 15, even 20 years to get a championship. But just to do it that fast really amazes me.
Yep, I don't disagree with that at all. No, it's impressive what he did. Great year, and all the credit to him for doing it.
I'm curious to know who your number 2 and 1 is now.
Let's just say I called it when we said that we're gonna have a different top. So
yeah, I think we're gonna.
My number 3, I had the checking out tractor Ryan Anderson. 2 Grand National wins. He had the Interleague win and a few regional wins. Like I said, just missed out on the championship. Always tough competitor. It's a coin flip on the Grand National circuit who is going to get a win some days. But definitely a staple in the class, and one that you never take lightly wherever you're at.
Yeah. My number 3, this is where I put in the Fast and Furious tractor. He started off hot, but like we said earlier, he suffered some breakage, but he kept running just to stay in the race and changed parts on site to be able to make the hook for the points. And if that hadn't happened, if he hadn't had the breakage, we could be talking about a totally different champ, in my opinion.
Yeah, that definitely played into the season. I mean, Don was on a roll. Josh was on a roll. It was setting up to be a good red-green battle going into Wheatland at the end of the year, and just unfortunate for Don. But, hey, it's when you have a long season, and that was in a stretch where we had 5 in a row. We started off Freeport, went 2 days at Goshen, and go to Evansville, and then go to Altamont. This happened in day 2 of a 5-day stretch. So, them guys, you got to take your hat off to them. I mean, like I say, they drove all the way to Wisconsin, got parts, come back, worked all night, and it got it going. So, they did all they could.
Number 2.
Number 2 is where I threw in Hooked Up. Most wins on the top level of anybody. That has to count in a class where everything is so close. He was one of the guys to accomplish a victory by 5 or more feet out of the 5 who did it on Champions Tour. And bit of recency bias, Wheatland, when he had to swing for the fence and hope he could pull something off, he did it. He won. So that's where he lands for me right now. Stitch in time. Do this list again 9 months from now. Maybe it's different, but right now that's where I got him number 2.
That's some very valid points. I mean, I had him for the title. Not having a title kind of played in fact for me. That's why I've got number 2 as the new attitude tractor of Gary Chavinch. First year ever running a point series, and he wins the title. And crosses over sometimes Badger State and PI and wins there too. Hats off to him.
Number 2 for me, I went with High Maintenance for all the reasons cited before.
Wow. Well, looky here. We have got some difference at the top.
For once, we do.
Is this the first time it's happened? We've all 3 had a different number 1.
I reckon it's going to be.
Yeah, there's been past where 2 of us had the same number 1 and different. The third one had different, but this is the first time we've all had different.
This is crazy.
I'll be willing to bet if you actually look at the trend of the lists and where various names wind up at, you guys can probably guess who my number 1 is.
Yeah.
And it's one we've already said.
Yeah.
It is.
Right.
And it's out of Illinois.
It is. Second announcement number 1. With the 2 GN wins, he picked up the Enderley to close out his season. On top of that, went up to Region 2 picked out a win by more than 10 feet against some tough guys who are also GN guys. The night he was there, Region 3, he went up to Toma and swept both hooks. It's a season of dominance. Didn't win the GN title, but when it came time to go for a win, Ryan Anderson's right there.
Yeah, I think if their guillotine wouldn't have shut, they had the points lead, and I mean, there again, it's just mechanical failure. Could have changed things.
And can we talk about how beautiful that thing is too? I mean, like seriously.
That crew of Robert, Ryan, and I can't remember the third guy's name. Sorry if I can't remember his name, but that crew, they take such good care of that tractor. It is a showpiece wherever it goes.
Yep.
You don't see a lot of Poland tractors out there that have fenders on the front wheels.
Yeah, that's it's a rarity too for us.
That's another one of the guys too who started out in hot farm and worked his way up to super farm as well.
Yeah, start someplace. My number one, I think people can guess where I go with this one. It's Josh Miley, high maintenance tractor. For me, three consecutive titles. That is a rarity in this class. Consistency is dominance. He had one win, had the PPL title. And shout out to Andrea. She actually gave me some extra stats in the past. He's won the belt buckle, Hillsboro, and has won the Winter Nationals before. But wherever you go in the Champions Tour or any place for a super farm, really, and you see that tractor waiting in the wings, like Jeremy, you said, you're sweating bullets.
Yeah.
I don't know think about it.
That, it's, and I'm sure it's the same way on the Grand National and some of these other circuits, but, you look at, we had 16, 17 guys sign up for the Champions Tour to run every night. And, darn near every guy can pull off a win. But you got, some of these, you're going against the legend Don Salama and I mean, 3-time champ Josh. And those guys are, when you get around them, you feel good. I mean, you've done something. You've hit your setup, and you've beat quality guys.
Roos, I'm going to come down on this one with you, and I'm going to say that I'm not a fan of it either. They're great. They're polished. They look awesome. Not a fan either. In my world, every pulling tractor needs to have 5.5 by 15 tri-ribs on the front, mounted on a set of 8-hole drag lights, and that's all there is to it.
Robert's checking in.
I guess at least my number one, doesn't it, to close it out?
We got one hole left to fill.
I went with New Attitude. To come out as a rookie on the Grand National Tour and to win it in your first try, all you can say to that is wow. I saw him run for the first time ever on live stream at Tone, Wisconsin, and I saw it. I was impressed. I didn't know he was running Grand National points, but Wyatt told me from the beginning, he said, pay attention to this guy. He'll do something special this season, and he did. He did amazing.
I'm going to address something here. Why no Outlaws?
Yeah, we didn't talk about that. We need to. Massive
turbocharger. It's complete. It's closer to a 401 than it is a super farm.
It's a 3.7 Charger that the Outlaws guys run. It's not. You cannot run them heads up against what we did with these guys. Where, yeah, you got the difference between slotted and smooth bore and cooler, but they do run together. They mix it up. Outlaws is a different breed. It's a different beast.
Yeah. Tristan, out of curiosity, though, on your comment, which tractor is that? Because I'm wondering if it's the same one I'm thinking of.
I can't remember if she's talking about Kavan or who it is.
That's what I was wondering.
Trying to place a name.
Somebody in one of the groups, the Super Farm Lab in Shipshewana, is looking to.
Yes,
it is.
To address that, we will see some of these guys running against each other in Shipshewana.
The only other super farm I could think of that I don't ever remember it, but I've seen in the past run super farm NSP that runs Outlaw is the Pilates with turbo up in gray area. They run.
Yeah.
I've seen run Rockwell and stuff. And I would like to put in my own like honorable mention that he's not very known. He's known more around our area, but not out because he doesn't really go out far much. But his name is Steve Brogley. He has probably the cleanest AC D21 you've ever seen. This is his first year ever running Super Farm, and it's still running an AC motor, and it's beat up on a lot of guys.
Question for Jeremy: what tractor user is your number one on the list, and is there one that we completely missed that you probably think of?
I had Ryan Anderson and Checking Out number one. Used to compete against them, but their resume: a Bowling Green ring winner, Louisville winner, going to Toma, they're competitive. And I mean, if you was putting a list together of I'm going to take 5 guys to go win, I mean, they're just winners. I mean, they're one of the best in the business.
Yeah.
So Jeremy,
Robert says they're going for number 3 in Louisville.
Yep.
So Jeremy, who do you feel surprised you the most this year, from who you watched on YouTube or results or even competed against?
Well, I was really impressed with the new Attitude tractor. I mean, to come out with a brand new tractor, not know the tracks, learn to set up with a chassis, and to win a Grand National title and pick up wins like that, that's impressive. I mean, that's, we always, when we pick up a new venue, we're trying to figure out, get a read on the track and what we have to do. And this guy had no read on any place that he'd been, and done really well. Barman come on last year and he went to a few events, and we talked to him, you coming on the tour? He come out and, he's a tough competitor. And, I think guys kind of underestimated them a little bit.
Something about Wisconsin, boys. I don't know what it is.
That Badger State's tough. I mean, you got to throw Chuck Gutenberg in there, the former champion, Nick Scar. I mean, both the Vinny boys. I mean, that Wisconsin group, they're brutal. And then, when we get to Freeport and, now we're back in at Hillsboro, you throw the Twisted Deer and some of the other Badger State guys, Jay Smith back. He won Badger State last year. You throw them guys in there, that, we'll have close to 28 up there at Hillsboro, Wisconsin. I mean, that class that's brutal up there. But it's a lot of fun,
Well, those classes, you can be a total of 5 feet back, but be 15 places back.
We had a lot of events this year where we would have 5 guys that might be in the same distance, 310 and some change. And that happened 2 or 3 events. And that's what makes Super Farm so good is, with the limitations, we've all got the same stuff, and it comes down to your gear and your setup and just, your whole shot and just how you do, any given night, any guy can beat another guy by 1/8 of an inch, it's very competitive.
Yeah.
With a view towards 2023, and I'll ask this question of all 3 of you since you participate in it. Thoughts on tires? Is it Firestone? Is it Whole Shot? Is it Mitas? Because you are a limited power class. What's going to be the thing you can turn? And does it matter if you can spool up maybe a Firestone versus a Mitas that's going to hook harder? Where's the advantage?
I'll speak on the Firestone part of it. We have had a lot of success in the past, even last year, with the Firestone. It's something we've known. Tracks up here like it a lot more. We did change to a different tire, but it's just one of those that we've seen is more consistent. But when it comes to everything being within the rules, I don't know if it's just the tire or what you've got on the face of it, if it's the bar or angle of the cut. It seems to help a lot better.
I'm not going to speak on it. I haven't driven enough to know yet.
I don't know. I feel like this year here, certain tracks, the whole shot tires were really good. On really good tracks, I still got the Pro Polar full poles, and we could do real well with them. You know, we only picked up one win on the Champions Tour, but where the tracks were good when you go to Farley and you go to Wheatland. Wheatland we had a second, Farley we had a 4 and a 5. So we were in there with the older style tires, but I honestly I've got a set of whole shots coming, and I'm keeping my old tires, and we might actually run 2 different sets of tires this year, depending where the event's at.
Fair enough.
The Mitas, I don't know. I'd love to. If I had a lot of money, I'd have all 3 sets. But you know, I'd love to, and then I'd put them on and go down there and play with Shane one weekend and see how the Mitas does against some of the other tires. You know, where it don't cost me in the points, but I don't think this year that's something I'm gonna be able to swing.
It's something that's not uncommon to see though when it comes to the guys changing tires. A couple guys do that.
Yeah.
This class is the original class within the sport of pulling for Turbo Wars. So what's the leader? Who's the clubhouse leader right now with where technology is? I feel like I got my finger on this pulse of this one, but I'm curious to see from guys who are in the trenches.
I think we all run.
If you're willing to tell what you're running under the hood, what do you got?
I'm pretty sure we all run the same thing. Actually,
All 3 of us come from the same place, I think.
And none of you are going to say. Do I have to break your balls and tell you who it is?
Here, I just want to make sure.
He'll do it.
There it
Robert
is.
will do it.
There you go, Robert. Yeah, there it is.
Right. Kind of where I figured where things were at, but wanted to put you guys on the spot.
Well, you know.
But I will say we do have a tractor that we work on that actually has a different brand on it. So
Yeah.
it all depends on setup, really. Some setups just for different tractors work better.
This is true.
Yeah.
That's very diplomatic of you.
I guess. But anyway, we need to know what we're doing for next week, though. We're running on an hour.
Yeah, we got to figure out, are we going to continue with our class list, or are we going to start diving on some of this farm show stuff? Because that's what we got to figure out.
So how do we want to do that with farm show stuff, though, if we do that? Do we want to pull it up on the screen and just kind of pick them out, or do we want to go off the individual
No,
list?
because then we're not doing power ranking. We're doing fantasy picks, and that's not the purpose of this show. Maybe we pick another national class for next week, and then we have that conversation offline amongst ourselves and try to structure out how that's going to work.
Well, we can do this power. We can do the next week any different way. We can either do semis, or we can do unlimiteds. I've seen that before, or we can break into something that's got a lot of numbers like Light Pro or Limited Pro. I don't know.
We got
Light
diesel
Super.
super stock trucks we haven't done yet either.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, we did.
We did?
Yes, we
Yeah,
did.
Red Ford Diesels in dark corners.
Yep.
I don't think you were on that one. I think you were.
No, we were all on.
right. I missed that show. You're right. I did miss that show.
Yeah, but you did give us your top 3 because
Yeah, you
everyone
said
had
you were.
Shane Kellogg.
You're right. Thank you. You're right. I forgot.
Everybody had Shane Kellogg. So
We could do Limited Pro and go Light Pro, Light Limited Super.
Well, the
I'm kind of itchy to do that class.
You know, let's have some fun. Let's do. I'm going to just call it executive decision. We're doing light limited super
Yes.
because it's going to be mayhem.
we couldn't say this for Shipshawana.
No,
Ooh.
we're going to do it now.
Ooh.
Oh no.
What weight?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, what way we gonna go with?
No. We're not playing that game. It's because we could have had that argument with modifieds. We could have had that argument with other classes. It's light limited super. It's heads up. And I don't care if you think a guy's going to kick ass at 6,200, 6,500, 6,000, light limited, we're doing it. Bring it. And honestly, if you think 200 pounds makes that big of a difference in how you perform, you're kind of right. But if you're that scared, leave it on the trailer.
No. Oh,
Okay, let's do it. You give me a challenge. Right here.
Greg, thank you, Bubba, for tuning in. We appreciate it. I think this has legitimately been one of our biggest shows that we've done, numbers-wise.
Numbers have shown. It's crazy.
This is insane.
Dude,
I agree.
Start fights.
But to me, Shipshewana is the Louisville for that class.
It is the Louisville for that class, and the problem is that if we did it there, we got to do it at like 8 o'clock in the morning because from then on, I'm busy all damn day.
Yeah. Well, between there and Murfreesboro, Tennessee, man, we've got a bunch. I think we had 3 sessions of them last year.
I think we need to do this class before Lexington because Lexington's the week before Ship.
Yeah.
We can't let those guys hit the track and show what they got and then try to talk about it. So
What is next Thursday?
By the way, Jeremy,
Second.
are you going to like Murfreesboro or Shipshewana?
He's
We're
going
going
to
to Murfreesboro.
Murfreesboro?
Yeah.
He's going to come play in the Southern Dirt for that
Who
weekend.
runs? Is it an association that runs Murfreesboro?
So basically what Murfreesboro is, it's USA Pullers without having the title of USA Pullers. It's an independently put on indoor show that's been around for what, Jeremy, 10 years?
Yeah, probably. The Super Farm is just, I mean, it's very competitive. Brad Woods, who had 13 wins this year, you got Deer Tracks is in there, you got Running Buck Wild in there.
They come.
That's the highlight of the Deer Super Farms.
Yes.
Cali boys have a tendency to come run that place too with Power Trip and their 3
Right.
tractors.
Yep. I think Jerry Barris with Dime a Dozen's coming down.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's another Champions Tour tractor. Finished 10th on the Champions Tour. So
I've never got to see him run in person.
I say let the class speak, Robert. I think you're very correct on this.
yeah, we were a little surprised about that, honestly. 7th on the Champions Tour with a win. Won Wednesday night down there last year, made the finals. We were kind of shocked. So I would go to Shipshewana, but I tell you, it's just last time I went, it was 15 degrees and 4 or 5 inches of snow. And I've been to Murfreesboro twice, made the finals twice, and it's 40-some degrees down there. So usually it'll probably be 3 this year, but
You think he was
it's 3 on the outside, but in the building it's 70.
yeah, I know. I'm just a fair weather guy, I guess. I'm not a big cold weather fan.
And the older I get, the less I am too. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
The other really cool thing about Murfreesboro is the Coliseum style of seating in there that I've heard waves of Shipshewana going to at some point.
Yeah, they've got some work to do on the building to make that happen. It's a coming soon, as last I knew.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'll throw in a little bit of the promotional part for that pull in Murfreesboro too, guys. They've got limited pros, super farms, light limited supers, 8,500 pro farm, I think is what they are called there. I think that's the equivalent of an 85 limited pro. I'm not mistaken.
He's calling you out, man.
He shaved his beard. I shaved my head.
I know. You
It's
get
all-
Angie. Hey, you get Angie talked into it, Ross, and we'll go.
Pretzels. That's all I'm saying. Pretzels.
Pretzels.
That's
Yeah.
what I've heard. It's all in good fun.
So Shane, then who would run the Kentucky Invitational, and when would that be?
That is the TNT group, actually. They
Yeah,
run
that-
a lot of
they used to have
and light limited
super farms.
supers.
They had Super Farm for about 4 years. I won 3 of the titles down there in 16, 17, 18, or 17, 18, 19. Really great place and stuff. Just never could draw the competitors for the Super Farm to really have a big class. And,
Yeah.
in Murfreesboro, like I posted on my Wicked Whitetail page on Facebook, that's one of the best kept secrets in winter polo.
Yeah, it really
The
is.
facility is really good. I mean, you can see 4-1s indoor, Super Farm, Hot Farm, 85 Pro Farm. I mean, they've got a lot of stuff and big names. You know, you get
Yeah.
Dixie Deer in there and some of the really good 4-1 guys. And
Calvary's coming down again like usual.
Yep, Calvary won the finals last year, and
That 9,500 Hot Farm's actually new for this year, I
Yeah.
think, because
Yes,
in the past
yeah.
it's been 10,000.
yeah,
I think it still might be. I don't know if they're going again or not.
I don't know. I know some of the PPL Hot Farm guys are going this year, and but
How many are they going to limit it to is the question.
that I don't know.
We're not careful. We will have the whole parking lot full.
Yeah, but that's one event that just really don't get the publicity that it should. It's
No.
and we've got a big fan base down in Tennessee. We went down to Brighton, Tennessee there in October and ran at a shootout, and we've got a pretty good fan base down there.
I'm supposed to be at that shootout with you, been between you and me and a few others.
Yep.
The application to get in on Murfreesboro is still live on their website, southernmotorsports.net.
Yeah, look at some of those trackers up there in the
If you
very
want to
top.
get involved with it, get in it.
Look
It
at
says
some
the
of those-
application must be postmarked by November 4th, but no way do I
No.
believe that that's over with.
No, Look at some of those tractors up there at the very top of the website too. I see a barely getting by tractor there.
Yeah, the pro stocks used to be there.
Yeah,
I was
Yeah,
talking
really get by. I'm not sure whose 3.0 that is.
that's the old rags right there too. That
The
orange
old rags. Yeah, Teacher's Pet.
That's-
That was what? Chiolitos?
Super Farm. Yeah,
Super Farm. Yep.
He just pet his casters up in Wisconsin. It's a light pro stock now.
yeah.
He used to run Super Farm.
Well, classes are involved there, Charles. I can't remember all of them off the top of my
Oh,
head.
so on the sheet we got Super Stock, 7,000 diesel, 6,500 alcohol combined, 93 Super Farm,
Holy.
coolers allowed, 10,000 Hot Farm, 95 Limited Pro, 6,200 Light Limited Super, 8,500 Pro Farm, 8,000 Pro Stock Diesel. That should be 3.6, and 6,200 Pro Stock. I'm assuming that's a gas truck class.
Robert, I think that pull is literally
Yes.
the week before farm show. I think it's the
February
3rd.
3 and 4.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So whoever's not going down to Florida for Zellwood will probably be there.
First week of February. Get there, people.
Guys, Saturday night, I cannot say this enough about that pool. It is packed to the max on Saturday night in that place. They turn out. It's right next to MTSU campus, I think, if not on MTSU's campus there.
And if nothing else, it's just a nice place, part of the country to be.
Yeah,
It is.
it's great.
It
Hey,
is.
you're real close to Nashville, so you
Yeah.
always can have a good time.
Wasn't that where we're actually doing climb the sand pile?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I was there that night whenever that happened.
Sand pile's weak sauce. You got to put it in the cheap seats. You got to get over the top of it, get into row number 1, bend that railing over. That's
He
what
was
done
not
there
close
before.
to doing that.
That
Oh, man.
that was also when I know Stormy had a lot right there too. He had like crashed into the wall.
I don't remember if it was the wall or if he just got the sand pile barely, but I know what ride you're talking about. I videoed that whenever I was like 5 or 6. And I still have it on a computer somewhere. I don't know where. I haven't been able to find it. But guys, seriously, give that a look. We've got Shipshawana coming up. Farm show list is finally out. I think we were all waiting on that for about, 3 weeks at least, whenever we saw letters start popping up the last week or so.
We've also got the indoor pool down in Lebanon, Missouri.
Yeah.
That's going to be primarily trucks and alcohol light limited supers only.
They don't have a smoke tube.
No smoke tube, right?
Okay, on that too, light limited supers and all that, and the super stock class as well, diesels and alcohol are welcome in both sides. They've got the smoke tube for everything.
Same for ship. If you're not registered,
Yeah.
I'm sure Clint's still looking for guys. And also, I think we're still looking for entries in both 3.0 and 3.6 truck. Load it up. There's an opportunity there for you.
Yeah. I tried to get you one for that diesel truck class, but he said he's going to save his for farm show, he thinks. So,
Well, who is it? I'm going to call him and tell him he sucks.
nope. I'm not that person.
That and
I am.
I'm not. I'll write out my buddies.
I speak truck, a.k.a. asshole. I'm not scared.
I'll put it this way. He said he's much warmer where he's at right now.
Oh, I don't want to hear that garbage.
Yeah.
You know what? You're warm where you are. I hope the night you pull in the farm machinery show, it's like 10 degrees. Your truck is cold. It's pissed because you didn't want to come and do a test, took its ship. Let's go. And what are you running anyway that it cross promotes from ship into farm show?
You'll see.
Brady.
Nope. He's from Tennessee is all I'm saying.
Stoney. Come on, Stoney. Let's go. Stoney Hargett. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I tried. I texted him earlier this week. He said, he's
Come
not
on, make
sure if they'll be
that
back together.
sound of music. Do it. Let's go.
Also, anyone who wants to run big Qs, go sign up for that 11,000 Pro Farm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please do. Those are
That class
monsters.
is fun.
Yes, it is.
That's another one I've never got to see.
Oh. It's not a class you go to see. It's a class you go to close your eyes and listen to.
Experience.
900 plus cubic inches under a roof.
And they allow V8s.
Yes, they do. There will be at least one in it. There is one in it.
Tell you one other thing I'm looking forward to is when we start voting for the Polars Championship.
Me too, Jeremy.
That's a good segue for us. Let's
We-
just say we want to be there.
Yes.
Yes. I
Getting
think all
close.
three of us want to be there.
It's getting close.
Yeah.
And who is already in the show, that's already got their application in, that is going to be a tough class.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's about got to be your top 10 here on your top 10
sure.
list. I mean, it's
Well, yeah, my number one's already signed up, Mr. Miley.
well, yes.
And
yeah,
should
If
be-
I'm lucky enough to be voted into that show, I just hope I don't draw first. Took and have to watch all the rest of them go back.
That's what I say. I'm ready to be a part of that.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks, when voting starts.
We have got details coming up soon. Charles, that's how many weeks away?
The actual part of that, so everybody who had an automatic bid based on their performance in 2022 has until the 31st of December to accept or decline. And we're working through that list and finalizing that out. You will see the live vote go up. I'm going to say towards the latter part of January. We try to run it through into the run up to Farm Show, and then be able to as Farm Show week hits, be able to say who's got it. So we're working through that. Some of the guys who are on this list have already accepted their invite for the year. Yes, if you get in there, it's a 10 tractor field. It's going to be a murderer's row of supercars.
Yeah.
But that's the cool thing, though. So the at-large spots, whoever declines out of those initial invites opens yet another slot in addition to the 2 at-large spots we started with. And so now it becomes on you guys to promote and get drive the fan vote and make it happen and get invited in there. And if you can do it, more power to you. We're happy to welcome you to the event and see what you can do. So, and in that class particularly, anybody who gets voted in, there's not going to be a slouch in the bunch. There just won't be. And for what we did last year and what we're going to do in 2023, you can't mix these guys up any tighter than what we do with this event. You're going to see stuff from everywhere. All mix it up and make it happen. So I'm looking forward to it.
And definitely from an NCPA to PPL mix, to see what we got to offer these guys. It'll be a lot of fun.
Oh,
Yep.
no. We're about to go down a rabbit hole if we're not careful.
Yeah.
Let's just end that. Let's just end it at that.
Yeah, we'll end on that note. Jeremy, we tied you up for far beyond our commitment to you for an hour, and thank you for joining us tonight. Appreciate your
Thanks
insight.
for having me. Thanks,
Jeremy, thanks, buddy.
Yep, I'll talk to you later.
I'll see you in Murfreesboro.
That's right. See you there.
Thank you guys. Don't
See you,
anybody go
man.
anywhere. I'm going to end this thing.
Yep. See you guys.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
See you.